moving on with the other needs of the new age organizations. So as we have learned in the previous video that how the organizations are transforming with reference to the structures, the way in which the teams are working with each other, how they are going to establish the control mechanisms, how the reporting is going to be performed in the new age organizations, how teams are going to interact with each other, what kind of relationship between the employer and employee, and how it has been transformed because of the system perspective in an organization, and the way in which the people in an organization along with its resources working as owners and as partners in the new age organizations. All these things have greatly influenced the way in which organizations used to function in the traditional times. The other dimension which we are going to focus today is on the new age organizations conversion into the information based organization. Now, when we say information, it is the new blood of the organizations. It is through which the organizations are being fueled. Information is the data that is capable of relevance and purpose. The new age organizations, amid all of the technological advancements and the growth that is happening around this space, the organizations are becoming more data driven. The decision makers are more relying upon the data and the facts more than the gut feeling. So typically the organizations in the new age times and to serve the contemporary needs are dependent upon quality information. The data collection in an organization is becoming more and more important, related to not just only the products and services and the market conditions, related to their competitors profile, but also about their stakeholders. The organizations are thereby valuing the amount of information that they have with themselves, related to not just only the product and services and the competitive landscape, but also related to the stakeholders at large, wherein not only the people within the organization are important, but also the important stakeholders that may influence the decision making of an organization are very, very important. So the organizations rely on some factual information to improve their decision making, and that is what the main essence of the information driven organizations. The organizations rely on a progressively intensive application of internet and technological growth to improve the functional relationship, not just between the competitors and the third parties and the organizations and the institutes outside the organizational premise, but also within the organization between different departments. Each of the departments which are working for their own area of operation within the organization do also share a lot of information which is interconnected in nature, and thereby take advantage of the growing technology for strategic purposes. So exactly what does it mean to be a data-driven organization? Wherein the organization recognizes the value of the insightful data. They pay attention to collect information from the right sources related to different stakeholders. It could be related to the customers, it could be related to the market data. The organizations are also interested into the business data, which is related to what are the key performance indicators of a business, what are its revenue, what are its sales, what are its target share, what is its competitors profile, what kind of products and services they deal in, all factual information related to that. So we could say that it is important for organizations to collect relevant data, and not just only collecting data, but the purpose is also to analyze the data in a manner that some actionable insights can be derived. So the strategic decision making can only be improved if some of the strategies are being based on certain kind of factual information that help organization to achieve their problems by acting upon it. So some kind of real analysis that has to be performed on the data collected, and of course to adopt the right strategy. So it is not complete until and unless these three links are being interconnected well. The organizations that are being driven by the data also has to understand that the amount of data that they have, they also has to utilize it and analyze it for the purpose of the right decision making at the right time. So we could say that the new age organizations rely more on the information, which is a process form of data, and analyze for the purpose of strategic decision making. HR analytics is a data-driven approach to manage people in new age organizations and their informations. Basically, it allows managers to rely on some factual information, as I say, and it is an improvement over the intuitive decision making or decisions based on hunch. It typically helps organizations to do more than identify certain HR metrics. So when we say HR analytics as an approach for the new age organizations to manage people at work, we are more inclined towards understanding that how the HR related functions, which are the traditional functions such as recruitment, selection, development and training of employees, can be optimized better in the new age organizations. How better insights can be derived from the existing data that can be processed into some strategic information which help organizations to address the competitiveness and sustain the competition in the market. And of course, the uncertainties that we have reflected upon in the current scenario and in the times to come, the more there is unprecedented times, the more there is uncertainty in the environment, the more organizations have to rely upon certain kind of strategic information which is purpose driven. So HR analytics is really helping an organization to optimize their basic HR functions and elevate them in a way to enhance the performance and productivity of employees, and have also improved the decision making quality for the strategist and the decision makers. Now, HR analytics is of three types, as we could see. One of it is descriptive, one of it is predictive, and one of it is prescriptive. What are these kinds of insights? Let us understand that when we talk about using HR analytics to understand that what had happened. So the descriptive analysis basically help us to get an idea of what has happened in the past. That means it informs basically the decision makers about what exactly they have related to the resources, what amount of resources they require, where they are lacking, what exactly the present state of the resources and the human resource functioning, the talent that they hold within the organization. All of these kind of details will be known to the people when they are looking at the descriptive aspect of the HR analytics. So it helps organizations to get a knowledge of what is existing with them in terms of the resource, skills and talents in their organization. The second aspect is predictive in nature. So when we refer to the predictive nature aspect of HR analytics, it helps organization to get an information about what is happening in the current time. So it is like what is the present status of the human resources, their functions, the talents, that is there within an organization. Also, what are the present needs of the organization related to the HR functions and HR processes, that is revealed through the predictive aspect of HR analytics. So we could say that the predictive analysis plays a role of informing about the current scenario of HR functions and processes to the strategists and decision makers. Moreover, the third aspect, which is prescriptive in nature, speaks more about of the future, that what can be done. So we could say the kind of results that could be revealed by using the prescriptive mode of HR analytics talks more about that what can be done in future to utilize and capitalize the opportunities in the current scenario. So what can be done aspect could be revealed from the prescriptive aspect of HR analytics, and these three elements are being used for the purpose to derive some kind of actionable insights that will help decision makers to take better decisions. So HR analytics is not just only performing a role of analyzing information and give them some kind of a visual description of the information of the head counts and the talent and skill that the organization possesses, but it is doing more than that. So this descriptive, predictive and prescriptive aspects of HR analytics really helping organizations to optimize their decision making as compared to the traditional way of performing HR functions. Now, what organizations can do to implement HR analytics more effectively? Or the other way to look at it is that what are the basic challenges that the organizations are facing while using HR analytics so that the effective results could be utilized. The very first element to reflect in this context is the quality of the data and also its accessibility. Now, HR analytics main issues are related to that what kind of the data is being collected by the organizations. So it is not sufficient for organizations to focus on just collecting information, but also to identify the right sources from where they can collect the right amount of information which is useful. So the main attributes of the quality of data is to identify the right sources from where the right information can be generated. So the source has to be identified. Moreover, the inconsistency of information also hampers the quality of the information. So it's not just only the right sources that has to be identified from the viewpoint of organization to collect data, but also the information has to be complete and consistent. So any inconsistency or incompleteness of the information will affect the quality of the information. In addition to that, accessibility of the data is a very big problem for the current organizations. Many organizations report that they have a huge chunk of data with them, but they are not able to utilize it because of the reason that they cannot access it. This access limitation could be between the departments also, that there are so much of information available in the silos, but it cannot be accessed because of some kind of technical structure of the databases in which the information cannot be shared, because there are so much of blockages within these kind of structures. So this is one of the challenge that the organizations are facing related to its accessibility. So despite of having the right amount of information with the organizations, if the decision makers do not have the access to it, they are unable to process it in the a more insightful manner that can help them to strategize better. So that is one of the biggest challenge. Another challenge that the organizations are facing is related to the right people that can help them to analyze the data. So HR analytics can be well performed if the right amount of skills and talent is also hired by the organization to use data in the insightful manner. So the right knowledge and skills are required to collect the right information, moreover to process the information and also to interpret the information. So the skill gap is also one of the major issue, that more and more skills which are analytical in nature are required by the new age organizations to fulfill the criteria of practicing HR analytics in full swing. Another challenge with the organizations are facing these days is to have a strong network of support related to the stakeholders. Now that can be possible only when organizations develop better relations with the stakeholders, not just at any specific level, but at all levels in the management hierarchy. Organizations do have to develop some rapport with the stakeholders so that better relationships can be developed and the information can be generated from those relationships. So based on such kind of information, organizations will become capable to get an idea of the changing needs and choices of the stakeholders, plus what are their needs and demands, and accordingly they can stay relevant to them by serving to their needs and requirements. So in this manner, it is very important for organizations to develop a certain kind of mechanism which could provide some supportive information and insights related to the stakeholders. So it is not only that the organizations are facing challenges related to the tools and technologies, but to optimize the information, they also need some skilled people in an organization to perform HR analytics and interpret the results of the analysis. Moreover, a certain kind of supportive network of the stakeholders also has to be developed to gain better insights and make better use of the HR analytics opportunity. Now, we have seen that HR analytics is a boon for an organization and how they can benefit their decision making by optimizing the data related to the talent that they acquire, the talent pools they can create, how they are going to source the talent, how they can optimize these kinds of decisions by getting the real time information related to the acquisition, retention, managing the turnover in an organization, how they can improve the training and development of employees, how they can engage their employees better. All these decisions can be improved and optimized with the help of HR analytics and their basic features of being descriptive, prescriptive, and predictive in nature. Based on that, we could say that the technology is also improving day by day. The more technology is becoming sophisticated, the better it is going to serve the need of the changing times. Now, personalized HRM systems is another extension to understand that how the HR analytics working is being improved. Now, many organizations are moving from the strict standard HRM systems to personalized systems. Personalized systems of HRM use very high intensified AI applications wherein they are using computational intelligence for the purpose of improving HR analytics functions. Now, this one size fits all approaches of course do not fit the need of the evolving times and how the needs and aspirations of the stakeholders are changing. Customers do prefer a lot of choices related to the products and services that they need. One of the very good example to understand that how this AI system can help organizations to improve their decision making is Facebook or Netflix. The way in which these platforms are using recommender system and AI applications to improve their services to the customers have really changed the game for the organizations to understand that what technology can serve them. Using AI applications, organizations are capable to proactively understand the changing needs and address them before the needs are actually changing in the real time. So we could say that these kinds of applications, if being utilized for the HR functions, it is going to really improve the way in which they can optimize the resources, and also effective decision making can really support the organizational goal achievement. Now, HRM functions are of different nature. There are different types of activities which are being performed at different ends of the HR related functions and processes. So, personalized HRM which are using AI applications will also vary across those individuals within an organization. Let us understand what are the different types of personalized HRM system first. So, the first type of HRM system is the personalized HR recommendation. What are these kinds of systems? They could be used by the organizations to gain better insights and serve the needs of the employees related to the personalized career planning, rewards, and giving learning advices to the employees and the people in an organization. So, if the organizations may resort to AI applications to guide and motivate and counsel their employees, it is going to serve the purpose of motivating people well within time. Also, the organizations are more prone to the corporate university concept, wherein they are developing some kind of training and development sections or departments within their organizations to educate their employees. So, personalized HR recommendation systems will help employees to get personalized advices related to their career development on an individual basis. The other kind of personalized HR system could be related to the personalized HR choices. Now, the personal HR choices could be related to the work arrangements, because we have understood that the new age organizations have to offer different types of work arrangements that could be related to work from home, that could be related to work from office, that could be related to a combination of both, that could be related to the terms and conditions of an employee with an organization, which is contractual in nature, which is part-time in nature, the way in which the employer and employee relationships are being designed in the new times is also a challenge for an organization to address. And to fulfill these kinds of needs and expectations of the employees, organizations may resort to these kind of personal HR systems that will help their employees to select the required benefits and the kind of choices they would like to make related to the benefits that they derive from the companies, that is related to work arrangements, or could some kind of cafeteria style benefit plan where employees have an opportunity to select the benefits that they would like to add to their perks based upon their needs. Now, somebody who is of course living nearby the office would not like to add transportation to his perk. Maybe he is going to select a better benefit that is being given by the organizations, could be related to car parking, or some kind of other benefits with the organization offers. So there is a variety of benefits that the organization may offer to their employees, and they can add those required benefits dependent upon their own individualized needs. So we could say more of the customization is possible related to the benefit that the employee would like to add. So this kind of customization is not possible otherwise when the traditional functions are being performed, because AI recommender systems are really improving the decision making for strategy makers, and they allow people to make these choices for themselves because they understand their needs and choices better as compared to someone else who is doing this task for them. So all these kinds of facilities using AI applications will give employees more choice to select the benefit that they would like. Moreover, actual personalized HR practices such as talent acquisition and development practices, wherein the organization have to resort to the workforce planning, wherein they have to get an idea that how much employee they are going to need in the next 6 months or 12 months or 4 months, or what exactly is going to be the cost of hiring. Moreover, some real insights related to what could be the talent sources from where they can resort, whether they should go online or offline mode of talent sourcing. Moreover, which of the talent sourcing are becoming weaker in the coming time. All these kinds of insights could be generated because of this actual personalized system, which are being used by organizations for improving their decision making. So employees prefer to work with these kinds of organizations which give them autonomy and freedom and a flexible work style. Moreover, it also helps organizations to optimize their basic decision making related to talent acquisition and talent development. So at one end, when we are understanding so much benefits of HR systems which are personalized in nature and they're going to serve the customized need of the employees in an organization, plus also optimizing the decision makers needs of policy making, there are also certain managerial implications that has to be deliberated upon. So the organizations must carefully look at the cost and benefit of installing such kind of personalized system, because if they install and invest such kind of AI recommender system in the organizations to perform the basic HR related task and processes, but they do not have the required skills to perform, if they do not have the people who really have the knowledge that they can make better use of these kinds of recommender systems, then it is going to be a overburdened cost for organization and the utilization cannot be possibly done in this manner. So a kind of a thorough cost benefit analysis will serve the purpose before it is getting installed into the system. Moreover, it puts a lot of pressure on the human resources within an organization to develop those skills, because using these kinds of recommender systems and some personalized HR functions can only be performed if the people know how to make the best use of the tools and technologies. So it will really require people to upgrade the standards and the level of their literacy skills using tools and technologies and AI recommender systems. Moreover, we understand that personalized system enhances firms' ability to decide better because they have better data. They understand that how the people are performing in an organization. They can monitor the performance of the employees very minutely. They get all the basic details related to the productivity, their engagement, how much time they are not engaged, how much time they are not performing. Moreover, installing cameras everywhere, and every task is under strict surveillance. So these kinds of surveillance will obviously going to work in a direction of a very controlled scenario wherein the people are under strict control of surveillance. Now in this manner, we could say at the end of an employer, they are able to get better insights related to the performance and productivity, and they can ensure better monitoring. But at the same time, from the employee perspective, it is going to be the privacy invasion and also a concern that they are constantly being monitored. So at one end, the organization have to think about how they can gather better information related to the employee performance and productivity, but at the same time they also have to deliberate on the other aspect from the employee perspective, that how they can balance this situation of engaging people also positively and overcoming their fear and the trust deficit that is being developed because of these sophisticated technology and developments. Moreover, aligning internal HRM systems with the external environment, which may include legal restrictions, that may also include some kind of cultural restrictions, that people will not prefer more of the technological usage. Exposure to a lot of technology is also has its own implications. Moreover, what are the political rules and regulations, how the different bodies that are related to the union, labor union or the trade unions, the labor market conditions, industry related information. Now HR systems, if are not aligned together, as we have already reflected to the data tools and challenges, that a huge amount of information is stored in silos but they cannot be accessed by the people who are using it. In one department, there is a kind of a blockage. It cannot pass the information to the other department because of these kinds of technical limitations, and the data cannot be accessed by the other department. So in this case, it will create a challenge of better decision making. Herein we could say that if the organizations have not aligned these kind of relationship between the internal and the external systems, it is going to affect. So that is a part of a reflection from the managerial viewpoint to make HR systems more effective in organizations in terms of providing access to the decision makers at the right time. Moreover, there could be more of the local challenges or resistance in adoption such kind of technology. For example, one of the factor in itself is the fear of surveillance. So employees may predict that the if the cameras are being installed, they will be monitored with very minute detail of the time, the real time information related to their coming in and going out, and what they are doing, how they are performing. Even at the time when they want to take a little break from the work, all of these things are monitored. So how much time they have taken a break, how much time they were not productive, how much time they are informally communicating with their colleagues and friends. All of these could be recorded and monitored So this is one of the limitation that the people resist adopting more of the sophisticated technologies. Moreover, when the people are going for some individualized career development choices, so many a times employees do want to go and educate themselves parallel, develop their skills which are unrelated to the task that they are performing, or they just want to upgrade their education. So this kind of revelation of the information which employees do not want the employers to know, or many a times employers do not want employees to know that what exactly the structure in which they are sharing information, or all amount of information they do not want to give access to the employees. These things will become open and transparent because of the challenges and limitations of the tools and technology usage. So these implications also have to be reflected up. So there is a cost which is involved, there are skills which are required. Moreover, the better information could be collected because of these systems, but how much people are resisting this kind of installation, that is also very important to understand. Now let us reflect upon some specific concerns which are related to the tech-based work, that is the reality of the new age organizations. So amid the techno-based work concepts, the first of the challenge that the organizations are fearful about, or mainly the employees which are very fearful about, is the job replacement. It is also known as the AI takeover or artificial intelligence takeover. Now, what is this concern? This theory is being proposed by Huang and Rust 2018. They suggested that the AI job replacement theory speaks about that how and why the humans can be replaced with AI. They focused on explaining that what kind of functions AI could perform, and because of which to what extent the role of human in an organization can be replaced. Now this theory does not say that it is 100% replacement, that AI is going to take over the job of humans, but it is giving us an idea to understand that on what kind of jobs and to what extent the role of a human can be replaced or supported by the technology and the AI systems. So this theory is helpful in understanding four types of intelligence which are required to deliver any nature of job, and the organizations have to select a right combination of the blended workforce. Now when we say blended workforce, the new age organizations have to face this new reality, which is humans and robots working together. So we could see it very common in the practice these days, that when you open a website, automatically there is a smart assistant or a chatbot appears, which starts conversing with you, and they interact with you whatever your queries are. So we are already exposed to the working of chatbots with the stakeholders and the employees in an organization. So these are the new realities of the organization. So how much the organization have to adopt this blended workforce, and not just chatbots but actual robots will also be working in organizations as a co-worker. So the blended workforce concept is a human and technology working together, and to achieve the task and to complete the goals of an organization. This kind of reality works through different types of roles and responsibilities. So the types of intelligence which has been suggested by this theory is mechanical, analytical, intuitive, and empathic. Now mechanical intelligence is that kind of intelligence that help to automate the tasks which are routine in nature. So some kind of repetitive task which require some standardizations, that could be automated, that is termed as the mechanical intelligence, or we could say the mechanical nature of the task. So we could say the task in which there are certain kind of standardization and specialization is required because of its repetitive nature. So that could be performed, and that could be automated, and that is being termed as the mechanical intelligence, which is being performed by technologies we've seen in the current scenario. Moreover, the other type of intelligence is the analytical intelligence. Now analytical intelligence talks about the ability of technology to process information for problem solving and learn from it. So we are getting an idea of analytics, that how the softwares and the computer programs are helping organizations to run those programs and get a kind of result, interpret them for the purpose of decision making. So therein we could see that the role of tools and technologies is improving, because they are better able to solve the problem by providing better analytical results. That is a logical way to address a problem. The third type of intelligence is the intuitive intelligence. Now, intuitions is a blessing to human beings. We all understand that it is a gut feeling of humans that make them different from the machines. The way in which the human can think creatively and adapt and adjust to a situation very quickly, effectively, that is a human characteristic. But these days, the technology is progressing in a manner in which they are becoming more and more intuitive in nature. The recommender systems are trying to understand and learn the pattern of the psychographics of people who are using it, and using those psychographics they try to understand and read the pattern of the person making their choices and selections. So based on that, the quality of services of technologies are improving day by day, and the more we are investing into technology, the more sophistication in technology is improving technology to intuitively predict the decision making of an individual. So we could say the third type of intelligence in which the technology is progressing is also intuitive intelligence, which was earlier only resorted with the human beings, but nowadays the systems are becoming more and more smart. So that technology of thinking creatively and predicting proactively that what is going to be the situation and adapting into a creative situation, that is termed as the intuitive intelligence, which is where the technology is growing. Moreover, the fourth type of intelligence is the empathic intelligence. Now, empathy is again a sense of feeling the pain of others, or also getting an idea that how others will feel in a situation. So, this aspect of feeling and understanding the other perspective is again a human characteristic. But the technology is also improving towards the empathetic understanding, and this kind of intelligence is also getting developed with the technology. And we have seen certain kind of developments happening in the robotics, wherein robots are being tested and trained for the purpose of that, how they are going to react, how they are going to act. So these kinds of experiments are undergoing, wherein the work on the empathic intelligence are being under process. So, nurturing the ability to respond, to recognize, to understand, and influence the emotions is the under process development in a technological field, we could say. So, intelligence could be of four types: mechanical, analytical, intuitive, and empathic. The first two intelligence parts, we understand it that the it's well understood by everybody that how the mechanical tasks are being performed by machines, and how analytical intelligence is being utilized for decision making by generating better reports, by generating better outputs. It is easier for decision makers to decide. But the intuitive and the empathic intelligence is also being fostered into the technological developments, and now the systems and AI applications are capable of performing these kinds of roles also. But it is at the end of the decision makers in an organization, the policy makers, that how much they want to invest in a technology, and how much technological intelligence they are going to adopt to perform the roles and responsibilities in an organization and to achieve the goals of an organization. So that is up to the concern of the decision makers, but the intelligence is progressing and becoming more and more sophisticated day by day. Another bigger concern for organizations is related to the human diseconomies, skill gap, and some other related issues, which is also being addressed by Marsh, Weljoss, Spence in the study in 2022. So, some of the human diseconomies, we understand that it's related to the physical strain, which is the fatigue, boredom. When you are constantly working on technology, you get tired. You When you are exposed to huge screen time, you will feel some pain in your eyes, you will feel some dryness, some itchiness, some kind of discomfort that may arise because of the technological exposure. Moreover, the kind of physical strains that a person may feel, that not just only boredom, but also some signs of pain, some kind of illness that a person can feel. That is also one of the implication. Another thing is that people feel disengaged when you are too exposed to technology, when you are using it for a longer period of time. A sense of blockage could be felt by people, wherein they need a few seconds to bounce back and understand that what is happening around the scenario. So, working with technology has a lot of benefits, but at the same time, people who are exposed to technology for a longer duration, those who are using systems for a longer period of time, they started to feel certain kind of diseconomies within themselves, whether they feel bored, whether they feel exhausted, whether they feel. In addition to that, the technology usage has caused techno stress also among the people, that how to use technologies. Now, learning those skills, getting advanced into the digital literacy. Moreover, the workload has also increased because at that moment you can also work from home. So, this kind of system in which it is facilitated that the flexibility in work arrangements could be made, the time is also extended, and this has really created a overload of work on the people. So techno stress and overload are other implications of techno based work. Moreover, a huge amount of anxiety because of improved monitoring mechanisms and the performance indicators that could be backed by some real fact data related to the employee engagement, related to their productivity. The organizations are facilitated with some real time information related to the metrics, that how much people are engaged, how much people are disengaged, how what are their hopping tendencies. So the quantification of information, which was prior qualitative in nature, has really caused anxiety among the people, that the surveillance will be high for the organizations related to the employee performances. Moreover, when the person is using technology, there is a chance of distraction also because of the connectivity of the internet. The people may connect to different websites also. Simultaneously they can work on various windows at the same time. This will lead to certain kind of distraction at work. Moreover, technology is addictive in nature, so when you are exposed to these kinds of technological sophisticated benefits, you also get addicted. So these are also the implications of tech based work. In addition to that, of course, upskilling and de-skilling are two challenges for the organizational employees. Now, when we say upskilling, it forces organizational people to learn better technological skills so that they can use this advanced technology. Skills related to analytics, they may have to go and learn some kind of IT based courses. So these kind of skills are required to use technology and use analytics in a better way. But de-skilling is another kind of challenge that is actually making the existing skills futile. For example, you have learned a technical knowledge related to a task that you perform, and now it is being performed by a machine. So it will make your learning futile in a sense that all of the tasks will be performed by a machine. So in this way, de-skilling is a really big challenge for the new age organizations, wherein it creates a kind of pressure on people that whatever they have learned or whatever they know is outdated because of this technological growth. Moreover, there is a huge pressure on them to learn more skills related to analytics and technology so that they can be better able to use these benefits and opportunities for their gain. In addition to that, people are more exposed to work. The work is becoming more individualized in nature. So when you are working with system, it is you and the technology. But the role of the social needs is getting missed out of in this context. Some kind of isolating behaviors are being observed among people, kind of social anxiety that people are facing these days, that they will not like to meet people when they are exposed to technology to a longer period of time. It is difficult for them to sense the kind of a social interaction with people, and they would like to avoid socializing with people. We also have seen in pandemic time that when people were too much exposed to working, a kind of irritation, a kind of a distraction in their social behaviors have been observed. So this is one of the issue. Moreover, a huge incivility incidences are being getting risen in the organizations these days. People are getting exposed to some workplace incivility incidents, which are not just only related to cyber incivility, where people are writing rude languages and absurd emails and different kind of unwanted messages to each other relate using technology. But at the same time, since their behaviors are also getting affected negatively, so more uncivil encounters are possibly happening in organizations because of these implications. In addition to that, some work-family conflicts have also risen amid the technological wake in the work systems. When people are more exposed to work, they are under pressure to learn better skills, to perform, to overperform in this competitive time, to unlearn many things, to learn new things. All of this have put a lot of pressure. More of the time, the workload is being shifted to their personal time as well, and this invasion of privacy have really caused conflicts at their personal front. So work family conflict is another very significant issue, which is a great implication for the techno based work realities. Another significant concern related to the tech-based work is the data and tool optimization challenge. Now, we have already reflected on this element that data is the essential aspect of information-driven organizations. The quality of information is very important. Identify the right source to collect data is extremely powerful to derive better insights for better decision making. But at the same time, the organizations also but at the same time the data access is a very important aspect to understand in this context. The leaders are overburdened with a lot of data, but because of some reasons the data is disconnected, and the reasons could be that the disparate databases is an issue. The kind of databases in which the organizations are designed. Shall I stop? Just last slide. This is the last slide. Okay. So another concern of tech-based work is related to the data tools and data optimization. Now we have already reflected on this aspect that the quality of data is very, very important. But in addition to the quality of data and the sources of information that need to be identified, a huge amount of data is disconnected because of the reason that the databases in which the organizations is deriving that data is disparate. The sources from where the organization is deriving it is coming from different design of database, so that interconnection of information is not possible, or it creates a problem or a block in utilizing the information in the real sense. Moreover, some of the departments have decentralized the IT buying decisions. So in this case, when the databases are being deployed and outsourced from different sources, this creates a lot of disconnection between the systems within the organization, because some of the departments are buying their IT solutions from some outsourced solutions, and their design of the databases is different, and when they try to facilitate this information to the other departments, it creates a blockages because of the compatibility issue with the existing databases of the organization. Another issue is because data is sometimes coming from different locations and geographies, that will also require certain sort of protocols that need to be fulfilled, which is related to the legal regulation or the law conditions of that particular geographic location. Moreover, the company sometimes merges or acquires the other companies. So this is also creates some kind of issues related to inheriting the data from the older organizations to the newer or merged organizations. Another challenge is related to the structure of the organizations. Many a times the organization structure of organizations are so complex that the sharing of information between the departments become complex. So when the organizations are more matrix in nature, let us say, where they are connected with cross functions and cross divisions, so it makes challenging for organizations to retrieve information and access the data, which really affects the decision making in an organization. And of course, if the data is incomplete or inconsistent, or when we are comparing different databases, the consistency of the data could not be ensured. Moreover, the insights which are derived from this kind of analysis, it is becoming very difficult for organizations to strategize amid all of these challenges. And these are some real challenges which the organizations are facing, because of which the analytics cannot be really utilized in a manner with its great potential. So organizations cannot only resort to quantify the qualitative insights which are related to the HR functions, but at the same time they also have to pay attention to these issues which are real. And in the times to come, the organizations can become better in terms of optimizing their decision making if they reflect on these issues and challenges and develop better policies for the betterment of the organizational goal achievement. So let us conclude what we have learned in this video. We have reflected on what the new age organizations are and how they have transformed into information based organizations, that how they are driven by data, and data also has to be of the quality to provide certain great insights for strategic decision making. Moreover, we have reflected in detail about what HR analytics is and what it can offer to organizations to improve their decision making and optimize their HR related functions. Thank you.